This is going to be a beginner and casual friendly guide to playing a Guardian Druid tank in Season 3 of The War Within. On the left here we have our highest priority, on the right we have our lowest priority. We're starting off with single target, so let's get into it. Number 1, we're going to use Heart of the Wild just before we go into combat. Basically, this is going to empower abilities that are from different specializations. For example, balance spells. What is a balance spell? Moonfire. Moonfire is from the balance specialization. As we can see on Heart of the Wild, any balance spell we cast as a Guardian Druid will have the cast time reduced, which doesn't really matter because Moonfire is instant, but the damage increased by 20%. So we're going to go into combat, use Heart of the Wild, and then immediately use Moonfire, a quick beam of lumen light, dealing damage and another amount over 13 seconds. Keep this up on your target at all times. Then we have Thrash and Mangle. I want you to use both of these on cooldown. Thrash is going to strike all nearby enemies, dealing damage, and an additional amount of bleed damage over 11 seconds. And we're also then going to use Mangle on cooldown. This generates 17 rage. Mangle the target, deals additional damage against bleeding targets. Now don't forget that Thrash will make your target bleeding, meaning when you then use Mangle, it's going to do an increase in damage. Now some of these are going to generate rage, as you can see, and this is our rage amount here, a maximum of 120. I'm going to show you how to use that shortly. After that, I would use your Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc. This is going to basically cause Mangle to hit up to 3 targets and increases your maximum health. Now, I would use this, in burst periods, basically, along with Rage of the Sleeper, another cooldown. Unleashing the Rage of Ursoc, you prevent 20% of all damage you take, increase your damage done, and granting you 20% leech, so you're leeching health from your enemies, and reflecting damage back to your attacker. So it's both an offensive and defensive cooldown. So, again, use Heart of the Wild on cooldown, keep Moonfire up on your target at all times, use Thrash on cooldown, use Mangle on cooldown, use your cooldowns Guardian of Ursoc and Rage of the Sleeper, and then you can see we have Ravage here. I want you to use any procs of that as actually a really high priority whenever you get them. Otherwise, we're going to be using Maul. Maul will usually cost 20 rage, but when you see it get the little bits around it like Moonfire here has, it's going to be free. You basically want to dump as much rage as you can generate into Maul. It basically does damage, and that's how we're going to be spending our rage. If, however, you need defensively to spend your rage, that will be on Iron Fur, which will increase your armor. So offensive rage spending is Maul, and then defensive rage spending is in Iron Fur. We do also have another defensive one, Frenzied Regeneration. Only use this if your health gets quite low, heals you for 20% health over 3 seconds, and increases how much healing you receive. You'll also see that on your Moonfire, you'll get a proc on it. So this is basically going to mean that you're going to generate some rage when you use your Moonfire, and it will deal a lot more damage. You can use it pretty much as a low priority. The main priority is keeping Moonfire up at all times. If you do get a proc on your Moonfire, as a beginner, you could probably just wait to use it until you need to refresh it, or use it down here when you've got nothing else to press with those procs. When you get your Maul turned to Ravage, however, that is a really high priority that you use that proc on it. So that's when the whole icon changes colour to red and turns the spell into Ravage. Not just when you get a free proc of... there you go. This is Ravage. This is just a free proc of Maul. If you really do have nothing else to press, use Moonfire and use Swipe basically as your filler spells. So use Heart of the Wild, keep up Moonfire at all times, use Thrash and then Mangle on cooldown, use your cooldowns when appropriate, Incarnation and Rage of the Sleeper, use Ravage whenever you have a proc on it, use Maul to dump Rage offensively, use Iron Fur and Frenzied Regeneration to dump Rage defensively, and when you've got nothing else to press, it's Moonfire and Swipe. And that's the single target rotation. When we now go into the Mythic Plus talent tree, you can see a lot is changing, but don't be overwhelmed. Yes, we're now going to Elun's Chosen hero talents, but the rotation mainly seems to stay the same. Heart of the Wild and Moonfire as usual, Thrash and Mangle as usual. But rather than Heart of the Sleeper, We actually are going to be using Guardian of Ursoc and Lunar Beam instead. Summons a Lunar Beam of light at your location, increasing mastery and dealing a lot of damage and healing you. Again, we can use our Iron Fur defensively with Frenzied Regeneration, and then use Moonfire and Swipe as our basically filler spells. And that's all that we're really going to be changing here. And that's it, guys. One of the talents I want to take you through is Tooth and Claw. This is only being used in the single target build. Auto attacks have a chance to empower your next maul or raise, which you've seen those empowered mauls stacking. An empowered cast of maul deals more damage, costs less rage, so these are the free ones I was explaining, and reduces the target's damage that they do to you by 12% for 6 seconds. So it also has a defensive element to it. With our Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc, every 25 rage that we spend will also reduce the cooldown on that cooldown by 1 second. So do be aware of that as well. And then Galactic Guardian. Your damage has a 5% chance to trigger a free automatic Moonfire on the target. When this occurs, the next Moonfire you cast will generate 8 rage and deal 300% increased direct damage. So that's where I'm saying to use those free procs of Moonfire, but there will be also an automatic one that automatically goes onto your target as well. And there we go. That is how you play it. We do have a few other little things. We have Growl, which is obviously your taunt. If your target gets away and is attacking somebody else, we can taunt them back with Growl. Innovate is a really amazing druid spell we can use on healers to get their mana back. Bark Skin is a great defensive for us, reducing all damage we take, etc. We have Incapacitating Roar. Basically, this will incapacitate all enemies nearby. Really, really good, especially in Mythic Plus often. Rebirth is our battle res. Stampeding Roar will speed up everyone, including yourself, in the team, meaning you can get from A to B even faster. Typhoon knocks back your enemies. Ursul's Vortex is another CC that draws them into a vortex, really great in Mythic Plus. And Skull Bash. On a 15-second cooldown, we can interrupt the enemy's spellcasting. Again, very useful in Mythic Plus. And then lastly, Survival Instincts, a massive defensive we can use on a 3-minute cooldown, reducing all damage you take. I may have already said it, but if you want to get this UI here, you can on my Patreon, excluding the big old bars in the middle. That's just for the tutorial. And check out the playlist you now see on screen if you'd like to try out some other specs or classes.